Notion has been moving fast with updates lately, and the latest batch has got everyone talking. So let's break down Notion's latest features and explore how they can impact your business and workflows. Hi there, I'm Alex Knowles from automationhelpers.com, and we help companies like yours get automated with portals, apps, and integrations. Now, let's not beat around the bush and dive straight into the latest updates from Notion. We've got Notion native forms, automated emails, and customizable page layout, which now makes your data collection and communication easier when handling larger and more complex data. Plus updates to already existing features and improved automations, which we'll look at later in this video, as well as the announcement for Notion Mail coming in 2025. Let's not waste any time and dive straight into the new features from Notion, the updates, and how they can impact your business and your workflows. Starting off with Notion's new forms. That's right, they've finally done it and offered a native form. No more need to awkwardly embed your Google Forms or integrate with a third-party platform. So we're going to look at two use cases, client intake forms and an internal request form. So let's firstly create a new page to access forms. I'll just label this as clients or client list. Then to create a form, I'm going to use the / shortcut, search form, hit enter, and there we go. We've now got a form builder on our page as well as a pre-built database in table view. If you want to add other views, you can by selecting this icon here. I'm going to quickly create a board view, and then I'm going to jump back to the form builder and begin building our form. So this will be a client intake form. Welcome on board. For the description, I'll just include client intake. Then we're able to edit our form questions, blocks or elements. I'm not sure what we would refer to this as a field. This is a simple text field is what I'd label it within a form builder. We've got your name we want to ask. Then we've got a multiple choice. Let's go with how did you hear about us? And then I'll just quickly put in Google, word of mouth, and we'll go with socials. Then we can add a new question field or block by selecting this icon here, and we'll see the question types available. Text, multi-choice, date, assignee, which is a good one, files and media, number, checkbox, email, URL, and phone. Now I say assignee because this does directly correlate over to your database. So let's just quickly create a person here. Respondents can select as many as they like. So we'll want to quickly preview this and see how that actually appears on the front end. Person, select as many as you like, and it's got me directly. So this is great for clients that are coming back and they want to go with the manager of their project last time. They can say, hey, I worked with this person last time. I want to work with them again. That's super cool. But we'll just jump back to the editor and continue editing this. Now, you can delete or duplicate a question field by selecting that 3-dot icon there in the top right corner. We also have some other options for configuring and customizing your questions in the form builder. Now, these are really cool. So check these out. We've got required, which means when the person fills out the form, they have to complete that question. Description, giving some help text to the submitter in order for them to better submit your form or answer that question. Long answer, this creates a larger element and invites the submitter to provide a longer response for that question. What else have we got here? We've also got the question type, which we can change between rather than just adding new ones. We've also got a view linked property. Now, this directly correlates to that table view responses database we looked at before. So if we select this, we've got view your linked property and the type is title. So if we just close that, jump over to responses, we've got your name, respondent, how did you hear about us, person or assignee, and also the submission time. So as we build our form out in the Notion Form Builder, our database is directly being updated, which is pretty cool. Let's jump back into the form builder, create a few more questions, and then look at automating actions after the form is submitted. So I'll just quickly add a new question here, which will be, we'll want an email. Simple. I don't have to provide the title. That's really intuitive. Let's also grab a phone number. Again, that's awesome. Something else that you might require from your client is the website URL. Look how easily and quickly I'm building out this form. How did you hear about us? And let's just rename this to manager. We don't need to dive too deep into this use case because I want to show you something else that is achievable with forms, and it's super cool. What you can actually set up is automations directly in your form builder. Now, in any automation, as well as with Notion, you have a trigger event and you have actions or an action. The trigger event is what launches this automation to begin, where the actions are the things you want automated, the steps. So what we can do is set up automation so that when this database is updated or when the form is submitted, we have actions occur after. So let's just select new trigger. Now we can't directly select when the form is submitted, which is a limitation. Anytime that you do make edits in the database on the back end, it will also cause this automation to begin. But perhaps you have a new client intake form and you have your project tracker living elsewhere on Notion. You could set it so that when a new page is added, a new submission, not directly, but a new submission occurs, then we can set an action to occur, which brings us to another new feature we'll talk about soon, is the ability to send emails directly from what occurs in Notion. You could previously send Slack messages to your team, but this is a pretty exciting new feature that we'll touch on soon. So what we can do is send notifications. We can edit properties within our Notion, add pages. Now, what you would want to do would be to add a page to your project tracker. If we select add page to, I can then select any of my databases. And we can see there I have multiple client project trackers within my big Notion workspace. But you would select that, and then you would want to map over the fields from the form submission over to the project tracker. We can see how easy it is to create a form, and the data from the form submission flows into a centralized database. But what about if you already have a database that you want to create a form for? Let's look at another simple use case, internal request forms. This is super easy to set up because forms are considered a new view type in Notion. In my company hub, I've created a resource request tracker. Basically, whenever an internal team member wants access to materials or resource or subscribe to a new software, they need to make a request and then the team needs to either approve or reject it. So we want to create an internal resource request form for this database here, the request resources. So all we need to do is add a new view and then we'll see the option down the bottom, form. Then what it will do will be automatically pulling the questions across. However, there might be some limitations in what property types are supported. Here it's going to bring 5 questions over, but I believe I've got 6 or 7 property types in my database. So let's pull these over and see what actually came through. We've got the employee name, resource request, the cost, the department, the person, and the email. And if we jump into our table view, we'll notice that we're missing the actual respondent itself. However, of course, this relates directly to the submitter. Now, this won't show if it isn't someone who's internally in your Notion workspace, because how is Notion meant to know who that is? And it also hasn't pulled across the submission time. Of course, we don't want the respondent able to change that. Now, something else I will quickly note on is a limitation with multiple choice question fields or question elements. There's no current other option, nor can you apply logic to your question fields so that if someone does select other, they're prompted to type a response. So that is a current limitation of the multiple choice question, but I imagine that Notion is already working on it. Let's continue on. We'll just quickly jump back into the table request and let's create a board view. Something we could do is back in the request table view here. We don't currently have a status, so we could create a status field, approval status. We've got not started, in progress, done. Then if we go back into board, we'll want to actually group these by heading to the top right, layout, and group by approval status. Now, every time that somebody submits the internal request form, our resource request tracker is automatically updated and the right team member can go through and approve or reject. But what about notifying the right team member? Well, we can set up automations. So if we jump up here, the automations that we've already looked at, the new trigger is obviously going to be a page added to this database or basically a new form submission. So when a page is added, we'll want to notify our team member, send notification to, and then we can select the recipients up here, select specific people or a person property. Now, the great thing about the person property is, remember in the client intake form, how the client was able to actually select the team manager. We can set up these forms so that that person is notified when a new form is submitted and someone has chosen them. But we're just going to select myself. And then we can include a message and also pull through data from the form submission. So, hey, Alex, let's pull in the employee name, trigger page, employee name, wants to request, and then we can just directly pull in, I need to select trigger page, directly pull in the resource request, and then create that. Now, whenever the page is added, I'm notified through Notion, hey, this employee made a request for this resource. Then what you want to do is actually grab this internal form. So we're going to select share form, copy, then we're going to jump back into my company. And we'll notice under request forms, we've already got an annual leave request. But let's also quickly add another page. There we go, resource requests. And we're able to directly embed that form there. So when your team want to either request a new resource or request annual leave, they're able to go directly to your hub and fill out the form without seeing any of that back end stuff. Super simple, right? Your responses directly feed into your database. And bonus, you get free unlimited forms. Notion is trying to position itself as an all-in-one work management solution, allowing teams to build up their systems on top of Notion's foundation. Now, another move in this direction is the new feature release for including automated emails with their connection to Gmail. In a move that automators will love, you can now automatically send emails from Gmail when an event or action takes place in Notion. What you need to do is head to a database, again, select your automations. We'll select the trigger so that now this is a client tracker. I have leads, active, warm. So what we'll do is we'll set this automation so that when the status changes from anything to onboarding, let's get rid of these, done, then we send an email. So we've already got this client within our customer pipeline. When they go to active, we want to automatically send a welcome onboarding email. This is how we do it. Previously, we could send Slack notifications, but now we're able to connect our Gmail, and then we're able to include the contact email of the database item, the page creator, or whoever triggered this automation. Now I'm going to select the contact email, which is the client email. We'll say hello, and we'll pull in that client name. Where are we? Name. And then we can say welcome to onboarding and include whatever information we see fit. Then we can also set the display name, what the email comes from, and what email replies should go to. No longer will you have to send emails out manually or connect to a third-party platform so your client and teammates get notified. But we won't stop there because there were other improvements to the automations feature. With these improvements, we're now able to use dynamic data in our automations, something not previously possible and something that would force us to have to use third-party integration tools like Zapier or Make to create and manage complex automated workflows. So let's just jump into a database quickly and I'll just show you how you can access this. So we've got here a new trigger. We'll just, for example, say page added. If we select new action, we'll be able to see the defined variables, functionality or feature available. But let's look at mapping fields from our database to another database. So we're currently in the project tracker. Let me just quickly change that actually to the client tracker. Whoops. Client tracker there. And we want to update the project tracker. We'll need to select edit pages in. We'll select the project tracker. We've got quite a few. I think it is client project tracker. And now let's select the property. We'll just put date. We'll notice here that we can select a specific date, the time or the date that this automation was triggered. And we can also use the custom formula. Whereas previously we were only able to call upon today's date or the date that it was triggered, the time it was triggered. Now we're able to format our date data. Let's go date format and really change how we want our values to appear and how we want this automation to work. Rather than diving too deeply into specific use cases for automations, let's look at the other announcements. Next, custom page layouts. Similarly to how you can create custom dashboard views in other work management tools, custom page layouts now let you tweak how you can visualize your separate database items. Let me show you what I mean. Here I am on my client tracker. So to access custom page layouts, we'll need to dive into a database item. I'll select Marketing Kangaroo, and above the heading, we'll see Customize Layout. So select that, and this will open up the editing window. We're now able to better visualize each individual property and an overall view of our item or our task within our database. So we'll notice that we've got a heading and a property group here. And on the right, we're able to configure how each of these elements appear. So perhaps we want to pin properties to the actual heading directly below our database item heading. Here we can pull in perhaps the contact person, the contact email, and etc. Let me just remove that for now. Then below the heading, we've got our property group, and currently we're limited to only having one property group per database item. But what we can do is include sections to better organize and manage our property fields. Let me show you what I mean. I've added a project outlook and a client details section. To add a section, just simply select up here, and then we can include, let's look, maybe a deliverables section. Then within that, perhaps you would include the opportunity property. It entirely depends on how you want to visualize your data. What else can we do? Well, we can also pull in specific properties and provide them with their own element for better visual representation. If we select this icon here, we'll notice that we can also add new properties to our database, but let's just rely on the current data we have. I want to visualize the opportunity. There we go. Much like when modifying a property or field type, we're able to format how that is visualized. Now we've also got a side panel here where we can directly pull in our properties. Perhaps you want to include a contact email and the contact person here. Then what I'll quickly do is apply this to the entirety of the database so you can see how those changes appear. Here we can see how our database item has changed visually. We've still got the information or the content of that database item, but we're able to better visualize, manage, and track those extra properties here. We'll also notice in the top right corner, we've got this side panel icon now, which is going to pull in that contact email and contact person properties. All right, let's get rid of that. Now, this is a great way to better visualize each of your projects and your tasks, but it's also a great way to share specific information with your client. If I am to jump back into my client tracker and scroll down to the project tracker, I'll just select content strategy plan, open that bad boy, and then we can customize the layout here. So what we can do is rather than including all of the properties in the property group, we could create an individual property element for each of those. Where's the progress? Better visualizing at what stage our project is at. We also know that we've got a relation property here as a subtask, so we could include that to show off to our client what tasks we're currently working on, as well as what tasks have been completed. To remove an element from your page layout, all we need to do is select this icon here and then hit remove from layout. However, it's best to note to ensure that you are not removing this property field from the database and only removing it from the current layout. The final announcement I want to discuss is Notion Mail, Notion's third desktop app. However, It is only currently in alpha testing and won't be available until 2025, so I can only make assumptions. This is a separate Notion desktop application, similar to Notion Calendar. It's an exciting development for those who already love Notion's versatility and functionality. And you can expect that the email builder will use that same Notion building foundation. Think slash commands, page mentions, etc. Notion AI will also be directly accessible through the email app, so you can expect functional search options, summarizations, and more. However, while the tool offers convenience, there could be some limitations knowing that the email app is built on top of a database hierarchy. One thing we do know is that Notion is pushing to become a more all-encompassing work management solution, allowing you to handle more complex data and larger teams, which has been a downfall for companies looking for a more robust work management system. If you need help setting up a work management system, automating parts of your business, or you just have a question, don't hesitate to reach out to us at automationhelpers.com. Our team of experts are offering a free 30-minute consultation, so book yours today.